It's April the 1st. Lake level right now is about right at 916, and water temperature is kind of crazy. It's all over the place. It depends where you are on the lake, but it's anywhere from 55 in most of the clear water, and I found as high as 63, 64 degrees yesterday afternoon. Now the past week or so, it's kind of all been about changers. I mean, we had a bunch of rain. Lake came up a bunch. We got mud. Got real cold. And then they started sucking the bottom out of the lake. You know, it jumped up about 3 feet. And as soon as it got up to about 917 and a half, turned around and went back down. It's coming down hard again. But we've had rain today, and we're supposed to have a bunch more rain tomorrow. So, well, what's been going on is we got all that rain. All the rivers brought a bunch of mud and debris in. And what's happened is they pulled the water out of the lake. It's pulled that mud down the lake. Now, there's still a lot of clear water in the lake. Oh, just the other side of Baxter to about the mouth of the James, Kimberling City, and the dam area is still pretty clear. But as they keep continuing to pull the lake down, that green color and some of that mud is going to start coming into that area and giving that a little bit of stain as well. Every day last week was a little bit different, as it's been the last 2 or 3 days. When it first started raining, just like tomorrow morning, if it rains hard tonight, that, you know, 60 degrees out there, that ground is warm, so the water that's coming into the back of all the pockets, these real deep pockets, that water's going to be warmer. So the other day, I think it was Thursday, the first thing we did is we ran in the backs of those pockets throwing big spinner baits. Now the spinner baits that I'm throwing, it just kind of all depends on the color of the water. But good ones to throw when we get conditions like this. This is a 1/2 ounce. It's called a coleslaw. It's got white blades, little chartreuse and orange on the skirt. Just the same type of skirt, but it's got a copper and a gold blade. Another one I've been throwing is like a purple shad with a little bit of chartreuse in it. One gold and one copper blade. Now these fish have been dead shallow. And some of these deals where the water's running off, there'll be real thick mud. And then the further you get back in, it'll actually clean up. And where everything's running back in, you know, especially if you see bait flipping and stuff in there, there'll be a good spinnerbait bite. Now that worked for us one day. It got real cold that next night. So then it actually got colder in the backs of the creeks. You know, it's kind of one of them deals. We've been catching them out on the edge of the bushes. 3 or 4 days ago, there was a lot of bushes that had 2 foot of water in them. As they're sucking the lake back down, now it's hard to find very many bushes that's got more than 1.5 foot or 2 in. Now, when the water was up in the bushes good, even up in like the James River and up in the White River, the main river would be muddy. But the further I went back into creeks, the water would get a nice green color, and that's where I had to go to get bit out of them bushes. And I was flipping a Snowden pig sticker jig in there. And you can also throw, you know, flip like any kind of creature bait, like a beaver, Strike Kings. Got a little deal here I've been flipping. It's kind of a beaver bait. It's called a structure bug. And I've been rigging it Texas style, dipping the tail, a little bit of chartreuse. But like I say, what works one day isn't necessarily working the next. And they pull the water back down, and then fish pull back out of the bushes. Some days you can, like this morning, we caught several fish on spinnerbaits and crankbaits up in Long Creek on the edge of the bushes. Crankbait seems to be working best. It's like I think it's a number 37 wigglewort. It's a brown crawdad. In that stained water. And it worked today also in the clear water. When we got on the other side of State Park, the water cleared up. But the key to catching them in the clear water, we've had several days this week where it's been dead still. And the water clarity is still 15, 18 foot. Without any kind of wind, it was real hard to get a reaction bite. What we would have to do, if we was in the real clear water, is get on some of them same points with a little grub, and what seemed to be working the best for me is this little 2.8 Keitech swim bait, setting the boat about 20, 25 feet. And a lot of the problem is I haven't really found a lot of fish grouped up in any one specific place. Whether it's on the grub or the crankbait, you know, if I can get 1 or 2 bites to a point, that's pretty good. The problem is I might have to fish 3 or 4 points before I get another bite. The same with back in the creeks. Not all the bushes got fish in them. You'll find a little bit different bank where a channel swings in, or a little pocket. You'll find a group of bushes that may have, you know, 2, 3 fish in it. Then you can flip another quarter, half mile of bushes and never get another bite. So it's really kind of spotty. The jerkbait bite is kind of like my A-rig bite. I'm not getting very many bites on either one of them, but those are definitely the bigger largemouths I've been catching is on a jerkbait. They've been on main lake and secondary points, but like I say, I'm getting more bites on a crankbait and a spinnerbait. And with what the rain and everything's going to do, and the water temperature actually rising until Saturday, it looks like it's going to get down in the 30s again. The crankbait and spinnerbait should be one of the best baits right now to cover water. Because like I say, these fish are ready to spawn, and I'm sure there's fish spawning somewhere on the lake. I haven't found them. Some of the areas I've been fishing where the water's the warmest, it's also the dirtiest. So if they're spawning, I can't see them. But I haven't caught any fish that look like they've been oozing eggs. Everything I've been catching in them spawning areas looks like it's still full of eggs. So, you know, I'm sure nothing's done spawning. I think there's a few starting to move up to try to do it, especially with the full moon that we've had. So, I mean, it's kind of going to be a deal where you got to change by the hour. If something's not working, don't be afraid to change it up. But the thing you shouldn't have to do is fish deep. You know, there's still going to be some fish scattered out there suspended, but the majority of the fish should be 20 foot or less. Now, they might be in 15 or 20 feet over 60 or 70, but there's not very many fish down there real deep. Most of them deep fish have come up in the water column and started to suspend and, you know, started to move. So it's just going to be, you know, I wish I could tell you there's a certain place you could go to catch fish, but I'm really having to mix it up every day. There's some fish being caught on the Ned rig, you know, which is basically just a little Cinco cut in half with a little 1/8 ounce, a 1/4 ounce weight and whatnot. What I'm using there is a Strike King Zero. It's one of them elastic ones that just, oh, not elastic, but it's, I don't know what they're made of, but they stretch. They don't hardly tear up. I super glue it to the head, and you know, it'll last several days. But same thing with this, I still can't find any concentrations of fish. It's one here and one there. So, you know, it's almost like you can take whatever bait you've got the most confidence in. If you want to fish a grub or light line, concentrate on the clear water. If you want to power fish, you know, throw a jig, crankbait, or spinnerbait, head to the dirty water. You might find when you get in the real dirty water, you'll have to come further down lake where you've got the green color, or go further back into creeks and look for some clear water. Because I've been having trouble in the real muddy stuff. I'm having to get ahead of it or behind it. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.